What is up, my hatchlings? I am the Anaconda Dragon, and I thought I would do a video where I show you guys my entire drawing process. Of course, I always start with a sketch, and like many artists do, I will start with a circle for the head. And it does take me a few tries to get this right. My sketch is probably the longest that any of my art takes because this is me mapping out what I want for my drawing. This is me just kind of put in any idea I have on the canvas, and I'll make different changes. I'll tweak it, and it helps a lot, and it makes my art look really good, or at least to me, and I get really proud of it. Eyes have always been an issue with me because I can't ever get them right. At some point, you'll see me use the symmetry tool here, and I'll just get really annoyed because I can't get them right, or they just look really weird and stupid, and it just doesn't look like Anne. So I just give her an entirely different expression where I do one eye wide open, the other kind of squinty, kind of like she's looking rather sassy. And once I get the face done, I will move down to the neck. Once that's all drawn, of course Anne has a longer neck because she's a snake. Once that's all drawn, I will move into the chest and the legs. You see, I struggle a little bit with the legs here because I either can't get the toes right, or the shape looks awkward to me. But once I do get it, I will resize it and move it as I need to. Then I'll move into our next leg, and I will try to mimic how it looks with the first leg. That doesn't always work, unfortunately. You'll see me kind of tweak this leg a little bit. Once the front legs are drawn, I move into the body. And Anne, of course, has a rather big belly, so you'll see that big old pudge there. I'll move into the back leg, and the back leg I actually changed quite a bit later on. The fourth leg I tried to mimic with the first back leg, but I couldn't quite get it, so eventually I just gave it a whole new pose and I kind of lifted the leg up. After that, I moved in the tail. Once I have the body all sketched out, I'll kind of resize it again and move it around as I need to. Of course, I've drawn Anne's wings here, and then I move once again into the front leg and try to fix it up. It doesn't look great to me, so I gave it a whole new pose eventually, and I just kind of had her arm up over her chest like that, and she looked nice to me. She looked a little happy and sassy. I of course use this steady brush here. I think I bought it somewhere from another artist, and I use it in all my drawings, and I really do enjoy it. As I'm line arting, I am just trying to make it look nice and clean, and I'm trying to make it look much better than the sketch does. You'll see me tweak a lot of things here, like if you use clip paint, try to use a vector layer for your line art. It makes it a lot easier. Like you see there, you can just erase a line with your vector eraser and don't have to worry too much about that. Moving on into the back legs, this is where I tweaked my drawing a little bit. You can see I gave this back leg here, her right hind leg, a completely different pose and everything, and even changed her claws a little bit. And because I changed the posing a little bit, I actually changed her back end a little bit too. Like I made it a little more open, and the tail's much different. It loops up a little more than it did in the sketch. Just remember, guys, your sketch is usually just your map. You don't need to follow it exactly. It's just an idea of what you're drawing. Then, of course, we move into the wings. Anne is not like other dragons. She doesn't have the fingers on her wings, and she just has this kind of ripped up membrane looking. I don't know how to explain it. And there's the line art for Anne. Now, once my line art is done, I move on to coloring. Get my ref sheet here for Anne, and just I color her entire body on one single layer. Like all the solidness is just on one layer. I do it with her claws, her wings, and her body. There you go, getting her pretty orange claws all painted up like they're supposed to be. Like doesn't she have like the nicest nails ever? And then once I have all the main stuff drawn on, I move on to the markings and I put that on a separate layer. And I'll use the Irma R bucket, I have to look at what it's called, and I'll keep drawing her markings here and just filling them in with my bucket tool. You see I'm just following my reference sheet to where all her markings are. She of course has some on her arms that are in her inner elbows, on the back of her wrist or elbow, and then also on the back of her wrist. Fun fact, that little marking there on the hand actually loops around to her palm on her left hand. And we move on to her tail. At the angle she's at, you can only see those two spots, but I think she has more on there. I have to look at her reference sheet. And then it's time to move on to her underbelly. That pretty tan that she has all over. Isn't she lovely? And then I color the eyes in on a separate layer too, so it doesn't blend in with the pupils like you saw there. For her eye markings, I start at the middle of the eye and I just go around and meet up again in the middle on the bottom. And that's and colored. I think I just make sure. Yeah. So moving on to shading, I use 3 different brushes to shade. I use my binary tool, I use a kind of spray can thing, and then I use this paint that is uneven. And it's uneven. I can't remember what it says. I'll look in a second. But it's a paintbrush for that, and it just makes it look nice and soft. And the blur tool actually will clean up your shading a little bit and make it look even nicer. When it comes to shading, just imagine where the light is pointing and shade opposite to where the light wouldn't point. And your shading will look beautiful and perfect. I shade a little bit inside her wings just to add a little depth and life to it, and just so it doesn't look too flat. I use a much stronger blur to make it look good. I think it did come out really good. We of course color inside her leg, which will be a little bit darker than other parts. Underneath her tail. Right up to the tip. And then of course her wings will cast a shadow on her back a little bit. As you can see, blurring it does make it look a lot nicer, it makes it look a lot cleaner. And then when you're done, you can turn down the opacity to your liking. That'll make it look darker, make it look lighter. It all depends on you and how you like your shading. We'll do this on the claws just to make it look a little nicer and cooler. Blending the wings, and then erasing the outside shading so it doesn't look awkward in the final picture. And then lighting, which also, just like shading, adds a little more life, a little more depth to it. And, you know, shiny scales, shiny tails, shiny fangs, just shiny everything. And that just makes it look a lot prettier. And, of course, you can use whatever you were using. For both shading and lighting, I do use a little bit of blue. Don't use black. Do not use black or pure white, because it will... It just kind of looks a little bit messier. So when you do this, just use a little bit of blue, and that'll make it pop a little bit more. There we go, look at that. And she's almost done here. I use the ellipsis tool to make like a shadow underneath her, and I just blur the edges, and voila, like a shadow. Never forget to sign your work, guys. It is your work. Put your name on it, and when you finish that work, and it's yours to be proud of. And that's it, guys. That's exactly how I draw. That's my entire drawing process. This whole thing took me about an hour to make, and it's always a lot of fun. I really do enjoy it. But if you guys want to see more stuff like this, please let me know. Crush that like button in your coils, and burn it to a fiery crisp. If you'd like to be a part of the clan, well, just hit the subscribe button. And of course, if you want some art, I do art commissions. You guys can just pay me to draw you something. All my links are down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!